Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Jackie Dorman. Did I get your last name right?
You did.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. And Jackie's a former TV executive turned matchmaker, best-selling author, and founder of the last year's single movement, a bold marriage revival replacing single swipe culture with intentional, community-driven connection. Her global program helps marriage-minded singles ditch algorithms for authentic relationships, creating a real-world alternative to app dating. Jackie, first of all, thank you so much for being on People on Dating, and also I'm hoping this takes off and you have millions and millions of people because I am not an app guy. I hate apps and I hope you could change the world. How are you?
Thank you so much. Thank you for that vote of confidence and believing in what we do. I'm great. And I agree with you. I think that outsourcing our love lives to an algorithm is not the best of ideas. There are people that are able to use apps to success. That is true. But most people really hate them, just like you're saying. Most people feel it's really impersonal. They don't know how to use it. They're meeting the wrong people on there. A lot of women complain that they're meeting Prince Alarming instead of Prince Charming, and that's definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
But it's not so much the apps as it is the app users. That is what we teach in Last Year Single. Yeah, we don't love the apps, but if we show up to any tool, because an app's a tool, right? If we
Yeah.
show up to any type of, help or tool with the right heart, then we can have success. I believe that.
No, I definitely, I'm with you 100%. So before we get into the topic about, get out of the apps and, let's do some authentic connection. What was your journey like to get here to today? You went from a former TV executive to a matchmaker, best-selling author, which we'll talk about that a little later. So what was that journey like? What was that aha moment for you?
Yeah, as far as my TV background, I think it definitely has promoted what I do now because I did a lot of women's programming on the television network. So I actually produced the first IPTV network for women, meaning the first network that's in your pocket on a phone. And
Mm,
so it was a brick and mortar TV station, and I helped push it into the digital age towards women's programming that was accessible to women via the other screens, not the screen in your living room, but the screen in your pocket, the screen on your laptop. And so just really having my heart for women and what they go through. And then also having a matchmaking background. I am the wing woman in my friend group. I helped 15 of my friends get married. And so I've always been the person who's fixing you up, setting you up, helping you with your dating questions and love life. So it was a very natural transition for me to take all of my media experience and turn it into a multimedia movement that helps people get married.
oh, no, sounds good. Like I said, for me, the frustration with apps were, let's say, if I, put pictures, profile, whatever, I would get matches or somebody would contact me, I would contact them, and then there would be no response. And so I started noticing
Right.
that. I'm like, okay, if you contacted me, then you might be interested. Cool. Then I remember I talking to a couple of, well, texting, and I said, hey, let's get on the phone and let's talk. Oh, it's too soon. But I'm like, wow, back in the 90s and 80s, you had no choice but to exchange phone numbers. So I'm thinking, Jackie, that this generation, let's say as they call it, modern dating, I think it's just relying too much on text and Instagram. And even when people meet, and I have friends that are in their 20s, they're exchanging Instagram. They don't even exchange phone numbers until maybe down the road. Are we seeing,
Yeah.
is that much of a disconnect out there? Is that what we're seeing?
Absolutely, absolutely. It hasn't, technology hasn't exactly helped us in the area of relationships.
No.
Even in our personal relationships within families, within marriages, more than often, technology is what's disconnecting us, not what's connecting us, right? We're not talking anymore. We're texting. Sometimes we're texting from the same house. Like someone's in the other room, instead of going in and asking them a question, you're texting them, you're calling them on the phone, if they're somewhere else in the house besides where you are. And so technology, it should be helping us connect, but really what it's given us is given us a way to disconnect and still feel like we're connected. We're disconnected, but we still feel like we're connected. And so what you're talking about on the apps of the constant conversation that goes nowhere is because so many people, they misunderstand attention for intention,
Right.
right? Just because someone's
Mm.
giving you attention, they swiped on you, they started a conversation, how you doing? Okay, that's great. But it doesn't go anywhere because this person is on the app without a real game plan for their own relationship desires. So they have no intention. They don't really know what they want. And if you don't know what you want, how are you going to know when you find it? And so that's one of the main problems with the endless how you doing. People call it the talking stage that never ends
Oh
on
yeah, I
the
heard that.
apps.
I heard that phrase not too long. The talking stage. And I'm like, the talking
Right.
stage. I, it used to be getting to know each other, but now it's just a talking stage.
Yeah.
Are both sides, the men and women, are just relying too much on algorithms and the options they think they might have? Did my question make sense at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my theory is that we're just burnout. We're not just burnout with dating, we're burnout with technology in general. I mean, a lot
Mhm.
of people, they spend so much time on screens at work. A lot of people are working on computers all day
Yeah.
long at work or remotely at home. They're working on a computer. They're having to watch videos for work or they're having to take phone calls for work. And I think that when people are done with all the technology driven things that we have to do every day, I think they're just burnout. And the last thing they want to do is get on another screen with someone. The last thing that they want to do is swipe and try to figure out, who's good and who's not good and who they're attracted to. I think it's just really rough.
Yeah, I just see, like I said, I have a few friends that are under 30, and they get on the phone and they just can't take them, they just can't remove their phone from this stuff. Listen, I'm no better, but I'm not on Instagram, or I don't have TikTok anyway. I'm more on YouTube. I love watching YouTube, whether it's educational stuff, but I just feel that this generation, as they call it, the modern dating, is just relying too much on just apps and Instagram. And I miss the conversation. Even for me, Jackie, I met someone about a year ago and we exchanged Facebook profiles. I'm like, is that what it comes down to? Even older people are doing that?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
no phone numbers. Let me look at your profile and I'll look at your. What the hell's going on?
People want, hey, listen, modern dating does suck. That's why I have a book coming out called Modern Dating Sucks.
Oh, I love
But
that
the
title.
reason
Great
why,
title.
yes, yes, because it does. And everyone feels that way. And the reason why it sucks or the way that we feel like it does is because it's unnatural. It's not the way that we've ever met people throughout history.
Mhm.
We could go into the history of dating, where that word even comes from, but we don't have enough time on this podcast. But basically, the way that we date now, or even the way our grandparents, let's go back to a wholesome time that everyone reminisces about, even though we didn't live during it. The nostalgia of, oh gosh, the 50s, poodle skirts and shared milkshakes. Even that form of dating, that's only 100 years old. It's only
Right.
100 years old, a little bit over 100 years old. Before that, it was about families, it was about shared community, it was about shared purpose in life, right? And becoming like parts of the community together. The family, back then, your auntie was the algorithm. Now it's just meeting strangers on the internet. And that used to be dangerous. Remember when Craigslist came out? People were like, oh my
Yes.
God, you should not be meeting strangers on the internet. Like, don't go buy that. Don't go buy that share from that stranger on the internet. They could be a serial killer. And now we meet strangers on the internet for romance in our romantic lives every day. And we don't call it like dangerous. We just call it Tuesday. And
Right.
so something has shifted massively. And I think that it's just laziness on our part.
Yeah.
you know there is opportunities to get together in person. There is opportunities to meet people in the wild, but people do not want to do that. They don't. They want to sit in their pajamas and they want to look at social media. They want to scroll on dating apps. They only want to go meet someone if they feel like it's worth it. They don't want to show up in person and possibly just not meet anyone. It's like, did I shave my legs for this? Like, why did
Yeah.
I even come out? Right.
It's funny that you say that. I also hear, again, through what I'm reading and what I'm seeing on other podcasts, women are trying to do, and I give them credit to try to do singles events, but it seems like the guys are not showing up, you know?
No,
Uh,
they're
so,
not.
and I'm saying to myself, Well, unfortunately, there's because people looking at Instagram or TikTok, women say, "Just stop, don't approach this. I don't want to talk to you." Blah blah. So guys see that and they say, "Oh, okay." So if five women in a row we see that, then every woman's like that, and it's not true. Some women want to be approached if they find someone attractive. I get that. So when
Mhm.
you where you come in, are you planning to have any type of what's the connection with your company and let's say the outside world, if that makes sense? Because I'm
Yeah.
hoping I want you to succeed so badly because I effing hate the apps. I haven't been on apps in over 10, 12 years and I don't intend to. Anybody that reaches
Yeah.
out to me on Instagram or Facebook or anything,
Yeah.
I just ignore it. No, that's not me, and I just block them right away. I don't do that. Facebook maybe, but I prefer meeting in person. That's just me. I always been that way. In fact, I grew up that way. So I don't know
Yeah.
anything, any other way that's better.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, after meeting me today, I'd love to introduce you to someone. We have community all the 50 states. We have
Mhm.
community in Canada, several other countries, in-person communities. We have 24 to 25 single cities. Those are meetup groups that people meet up to in person. We've helped 1,600 people get married in the last 5 years. And
Wow.
so we really are having a lot of success out here, just helping people bridge the gap between technology and in person. I think that you can use this to do this. You can use this as a bridge to get in person if you know how to use it right. And so helping people form online communities that are co-ed, not just dating apps where you're swiping on strangers, but
Yeah.
communities, because my philosophy is somebody who knows your partner, who knows your future partner. And
Mhm.
so in order to leverage that 6 degrees of separation, you remember the 6 degrees to Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon
Yeah.
saying that we're just 6 people away from knowing everyone in the whole world. Well,
Yeah.
I believe it's even smaller now that there's 8+ billion people in the world. I think you're probably 3 to 4 people away from knowing everybody in the world. And guess what? Somebody out there is already doing life with your future partner, their
Mhm.
friend, their cousin, their next door neighbor. I married my next door neighbor.
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
did almost 20 years ago. I married my next door neighbor. And so I do believe that we can be divinely positioned to meet someone. And the more people we know, it's not just about meeting a bunch of opposite sex. It's not
Yeah.
about numbers. And that's what dating apps do. It's just about numbers. Next, 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 hoping like winner, winner, chicken dinner. But the thing is that if you meet a lot of even the same sex as you, lots of people have cousins, they have brothers, they have uncles. I can't tell you within my community-based matchmaking model, we're bringing community-based matchmaking back.
Yeah.
Within that model, how many people have gotten matched by somebody that they already knew was in relationship with, they just didn't know them yet. And so we're definitely leveraging that around here.
It's funny. I had seen a quote on Instagram saying that your future partner is someone that you know, or something like that. I forgot. I probably killing the quote, but it was like, wow,
Yeah.
that to me it made sense. So, with the community that you're looking to or are doing, are you matching people based on interests? Does that work? Because uh, somebody might be a sports guy, but then the woman might be more into soap operas, just throwing, you know,
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
so again, how would that work if you have two different souls that like two different things? But obviously the chemistry might be there or whatever, but it's just that
Yeah.
the interests are different.
We don't have to like the same things. We don't have to like
Okay.
all of the same things. We just have to be willing, to really want to have fun together in different ways. The thing is a lot of people, they're not matching on common interests. They're matching on the C of chemistry. So there's several
Mm,
C's when it comes to relationships, and a lot of people are just thinking that they're going to feel like this is my person, or they're going to feel all the infatuation or the butterflies, and that is what's going to tell them that this is a person that I should be interested in or should be dating. But as we mature in life, we should be looking for the C's of compatibility. Do I like this person? Do I like spending time with them? It doesn't mean that we both have to like sports or soccer or football. It doesn't mean that we have to both golf. It just means, do I enjoy this person's personality? Do I enjoy hanging out with them? So that's the compatibility. And then
mhm.
another C is commitment. Do we both have the same idea about what commitment looks like? Do they want to be married? Or they're marriage minded, or are they past that? Maybe they're divorced and they really don't want to get married again, but they do want companionship. That's a C of companionship. They're
Okay.
not really interested in being married again. Got to be on the same page about that. What about consistency? That's another C. Are
Mhm.
they consistent in their intentions towards me and their actions towards me? Or is it just like when they feel like it, then they have relationship with me, but when they're not feeling like it, then they just kind of disappear? And so those are the things that we should be paying more attention to than chemistry. Chemistry is important, but it shouldn't be driving the bus.
Okay. No, I love that. Um, I hate to say it this way, but is marriage, I'm not saying dead, but can marriage make a comeback? It's again, and the reason why I say that, because again, what I'm reading and what I'm seeing, it seems like men don't want to get married, and it always comes down to finance for the guys. It's
Yeah.
not even, of course, infidelity happens and all that, but it seems in this modern economy, modern dating,
Mm-hmm.
everything seems to predicate on finance, and it's not. I don't. And on some women's side, it's what the man can provide. It doesn't seem like character comes into play anymore. How is
That's
this
another
person?
C. Character. Character is
Yeah.
another
So
C.
talk about
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
because it seems like
Yeah.
we don't talk about the person's character.
Yeah.
Again, I'm hearing from a woman's point of view where they want a guy that's over 6 feet, has six pack of abs, and
Yeah.
all this and six figures. But I don't hear, and I remember hearing someone say that. Well,
Yeah.
how's the character of the man? You
Yeah.
know?
That's called the sixes. They
Yeah.
want to make at least six figures, have a six pack, and be over 6 feet tall. That's the sixes, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that, that's a preference list. And one of the first things that I do as a coach, as a matchmaker, is help people to move aside from their preference list and get down on their non negotiables. Like, what kind of character do I need in a partner? What kind of consistency do I need in a partner? I know myself, I've known myself for a long time. What do I need in a mate? And then it's answering your question about marriage. Marriage is at an all-time low. It is true. There are less people getting married, and that doesn't mean that people aren't coupling up. It doesn't mean that people aren't cohabitating. It
Right.
doesn't
Right.
mean that people, aren't in relationships. It just means less people are getting married. But I'll tell you, I'm seeing a trend where Gen Z, which they're younger now, they're in their 20s, they're almost 30 years old, they're bringing marriage back. These kids are getting married young, just like we did back in the day when people got married
Yeah.
at 18 or 19 years old. So they're bringing marriage back, they're bringing traditional roles back, traditional family dynamics back, because they like it, they want the vintage everything, right? But
Right.
the millennials, right, sandwiched in between us, Gen X, and then
Mhm.
we have the millennials. I'm sorry, Gen Z. The millennials, they're 28, 29 to 43 years old right now. That group of people is the most single generation in history. And they are the
Oh.
reason why marriage is at an all-time low, because they're the marriage age people right now. They're the baby making age people right now. And because of the advice, oh, go find yourself, go see the world, go finish
Right.
your education, go do all this before you think about relationship, before you think about anything. The problem is that I believe that marriage and family is God's maturity plan for mankind.
Mhm.
And so a lot of these people are super immature because they've never had to sacrifice anything that they want in life for other people. They've never had to make space for anyone else. So they've kind of become really, all about themselves in a lot of ways. And then now that they want to get married, that's getting in their way, because it's like you
Mhm.
said, well, I want all this stuff. It's like, what have you done for me lately? I want to
Yeah.
see you, you're going to make the money, you're going to do this, you're going to be my dream, you're going to be my rom-com fantasy, instead
Right.
of understanding that marriage is about sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's about making room for each other. It's not easy, but it's worth it, and it's going to mature you, and that's what marriage looks like, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't look like some fantasy on a rom-com. It looks like two people becoming teammates and working together to build a family, a lineage, and a legacy.
No, like I said, it's real life, not no Disney fantasy. You said the 28 to 43, but I also think even this generation, that, like I said, is this Gen Z now? This uh, from 21 to 29, or 29 or 21 to 33?
They're 9 years old to 27,
Okay,
28.
and that's Gen Z. That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even like some of the, again, I have a friend that she's like 25, she wants to get married, but some of the
Mhm.
guys she dating or she likes that she would like to hang out with, uh, she says it seems like courting is a thing of the past. I even heard that from women in their 40s and 50s. Like
Totally.
nobody courts anymore. And I'm like, boy, this generation is so different now. Like I said, I'm hoping that you could change
They
that.
want old school, they want old school stuff. They do. That younger generation, they want the guy to be the intentional one. They want him
Yeah,
to make the effort. They want him to plan the date. They want him to open the door, car door. They want him to pay the check.
yeah,
Unlike their millennial counterparts and even some younger Gen X that were all about the women's empowerment movement and we can open our own doors and we can
yeah.
pay our own bills. Yeah, so you're right. Gen Z is going back to traditional values for sure.
Yeah, well, like I said, I know you're gonna help, and I'm pulling for you. First of all,
But wait, we need to
yeah, go
say
ahead, go
that
ahead.
men are totally confused because of this. They're like, do I open the door? Don't I? Do I pay the
I
check?
did
Don't
hear
I pay the
that.
check?
Yes,
What does she
yes,
want? What's going on? Like,
yeah.
what do women want? So they definitely are not understanding, what it is that they're supposed to do. They don't want to offend a woman, but they also, don't know if she wants tradition or not tradition.
So that's where communication comes in. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
let's talk.
yeah.
Yeah, and it seems that
Yeah.
doesn't. Guys are guessing. Women are hoping, and it's funny because I remember I saw this one video where a girl says, "Yeah, guys should know this, but no, we don't know. Everybody's different. Like you just
Well,
said."
you used to know it when everyone wanted the same thing. Everyone knew
Uh,
what the rules were, but the rules
yeah,
have completely changed,
yeah, it's a
which is
whole
why I wrote
different.
this book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
this book is all about what are the rules now? What do we do? Because modern dating does suck, but your love story doesn't have to. And
Oh,
so,
I
what do
love
we
that.
do now? And how can we tell what the person that we're talking to wants us to do without just coming right out and saying, okay, what do you want me to open your door? Because that's not romantic. And
Yeah.
so, just without coming right out and asking, like, how can we tell whether we're dealing with a traditional, old fashioned, valued person? How, if we're dealing with a modern person, how can we tell the difference? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. First of all, Jackie, I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, anything else you want to talk about? Talk more about your book, any Oprah Winfrey appearances, TEDx talks that you got coming up? What's going on?
Yeah. And no Oprah, but if you hear
Not
from her,
yet,
let her
not
know.
yet, not
Send her,
yet.
send her this way for sure. Yes. I have a couple conferences coming up. People can find everything that has to do with events that I'm going to be at jackiedorman.com. I do have my new book, Modern Dating Sucks, A Matchmaker's Guide to Finding Love in a Swipe Left World. That book will be available March 15th.
Mm,
And so they can find that also on my website, jackiedorman.com. They can find me at Jackie Dorman Official. I mostly live on Instagram. And
okay.
so if they want to follow any of my teaching, if they want to hear more about Last Year Single, which is our community-based matchmaking model, they can find that all at jackiedorman.com.
No, definitely. I'll put that on the show notes. And before I let you go, one last word about dating, kicking the apps out you know, just kicking apps ass out and relying on basically community.
Absolutely. I believe it's not just about being in the right place at the right time, but with the right heart. And so that's the trifecta to success.
Mm,
And so the best thing that you can do is really take a look at yourself and do your inner work, figure out what your non negotiables are, figure out what kind of character, what kind of consistency, what kind of commitment you're looking for in another person before you show up on the apps. Because it's not just about attention, it's about intention. And before you show up in person anywhere, that way, I believe that we can attract what it is we're looking for when we're clear about it. So clarity is the other C in dating. You got to get clear before you get out there. That's really important.
no, sounds good. Well, again, Jackie, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
All right.